Hello, a quick battle report for you guys. This was our first game down at the local gaming store. We did 1,250 points, and this is what I brought to the table. On the left there at the front, you've got a level 2 on Demonology. He had the Hag Tree Fetish. To the right of him is a Wargore BSB. He had a 5-up save and a 5-up ward. He also had Slug Skin, making him -1 to hit in combat. My general was a Gorbel, which is in the Ungor unit there on the left. He had the Armour of Silvered Steel, which is a 3-up save, and the Pelt of Midnight, which makes him and his unit -1 to hit from shooting. He was in a unit of 26 Ungor with shields and hand weapons. I had 15 Bestigor with the War Banner, and they had the Veterans upgrade, so they can reroll all leadership tests. I think that means they can reroll Primal Fury as well, which isn't a thing anymore with the BSB. So it's quite a good upgrade, really. I recommend taking that one. And 25 Gore with double hand weapon, 2 Razor Gore, and 5 Harpies. So this is what deployment looked like. So he deployed, so he had a level 2 Sorceress, a BSB, he had a unit of crossbows, 2 units of Dart Riders, which he scouted, and then a huge scary unit of, I think he had about 30 Executioners, which was the bulk of his list. I think it's about a 500 point unit or something crazy. Now I went into the game with a bit of a game plan to maybe play a bit cautiously for the first couple of turns. Basically, I don't want to take a charge from the Executioners because they are initiative 5 base. There'll be +3 initiative on the charge, and then they get Elven Reflexes. So there'll be initiative 9 if they charge me, and they'll just chop up my units, and I won't be able to hit back. So I really think that's going to be huge with armies like the Beastmen and Orcs and Goblins, sort of average initiative armies going up against things like Elves and Bretonnian Lances. You just gonna have to be a bit inventive with how you approach units like that. You just can't afford to take a charge from them. So I think that's where units like Harpies and quick flying units like the Cockatrice would be quite handy, setting up flank charges. And there's also a dark magic spell which makes a unit frenzied. You could potentially use that to try and draw out a unit, angle the units. So they have to charge an angle and then hit them in the flank, so you get +4 initiative. There's another spell that can drop a unit's initiative. So you really have to get a bit creative, I think, with dealing with high initiative units like Elves. So we deployed. I won the initiative roll and I went first. I declared a charge with the Razor Gore on the right. On the Dart Riders, they chose to shoot and flee, which is a rule they can have. They can shoot and flee at the same time, which they proceeded to do. He didn't do any damage with his shots, and he fled and then rallied. In the shooting phase, I managed to cast a really high roll in Vile Tide, killing 3 of the Dart Riders and causing them to flee. And that was about it for turn 1. His turn 1, he rallied both units of his Dart Riders. I moved my Ungor unit, trying to move around the unfortunately placed house, which was right in their path towards the crossbowmen. So it was a little bit awkward trying to wheel around that thing, which it wasted a bit of time really, because I spent the first couple of turns trying to maneuver around the terrain. One thing that is clear from this edition is deployment and movement is more important than ever, really. So getting a favourable deployment down is going to be big, I think. And it's one of the things I really need to practice. I was never really good at movement and deployment, so it's definitely going to be a challenge. So Dark Elf's turn 1, he rallied his Dart Riders. He shot the Razor Gore on the right and put a wound on it. He also cast the -1 strength and toughness spell on the Razor Gore, and that was about it for turn 1, really. So Beastmen turn 2, not a great deal happened in this round. I was sort of playing cat and mouse with the Dart Riders. Razor Gore managed to get a charge on the Dart Riders in the middle. They actually killed it with horses, which was unfortunate. I flew my Harpies over and put them in front of the 2 remaining Dart Riders on the left. I think that was about it for my turn. In his turn, I think he didn't realise that you can't shoot in 2 ranks in this new game. Dark Elf crossbows don't have volley fire, so he reformed them into a line and put a lot of shots into the Gorbel unit. He only managed to kill a couple of them though because of the Pelt of Midnight, so it's that item was golden, really. Highly recommend that one if you're going up against shooting armies. And yes, that was about it. So the first 3 turns, not a great deal happened. I was becoming very aware that I was starting to run out of time if I wanted to get across the table and get some combats going. So everything kind of happened in the last 3 turns. So the Harpies killed the 2 Dark Riders on the left. The Gore unit with the BSB killed the Dark Riders in the middle. Now I'd passed my Primal Fury on a double with the Gore unit in the middle and the BSB, so they were frenzied. They couldn't restrain pursuit, so they overran, and they actually did a 9-inch overrun and straight across the board, and set themselves up for a flank charge from the Executioners, which was nasty. That combat went pretty much as you could imagine. The Gore fled and managed to escape, fleeing through the Bestigor and out the other side. The Executioners followed up and managed to overrun into the Bestigor unit. He kind of clipped the Razor Gore, but we kind of let that pass. And so yeah, Initiative 9 Executioners against Initiative 1 Bestigor went pretty much as you can imagine. Over 2 rounds of combat, they just chopped up the Bestigor. Gore managed to reform, turn around, and then yeah, he pretty much repeated it with the remaining Gore unit, chopped them up as well. The Gorball Ungor unit managed to get a big charge off onto the crossbows, doing a lot of damage. The Harpies on the left managed to fly around the back of the board and get a rear charge off, so when I charged with the Gorball unit, he couldn't stand and shoot. The Gorball passed his Primal Fury on a double, so he was frenzied. Now, the Gorball didn't get his foe render rule because he had an additional hand weapon. I didn't actually realise that that rule doesn't count if you have additional hand weapons or magic weapons. It only counts if you just got a single hand weapon. So he didn't get his +2 AP. But he didn't necessarily need it. It was still on 4 attacks, +2 for frenzy, +1 for the additional hand weapons. So he managed to do a lot of damage against the crossbow unit and pretty much wiped them out. In his turn, he actually miscast on his level 2, and it was a Dimensional Cascade, which was a large template. Anyone under takes a strength 10 hit -4 AP, so he pretty much wiped out his own unit, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Ungor. So yes, the miscast is still quite potent. If you roll a Dimensional Cascade, he did a lot of damage there. So yeah, in the last combat, the Gorball unit just finished off that unit, and there wasn't much left on the table by the end of the game. He obviously wiped out the Gore with the Executioners. So that was how it went. At the end of the game, he won by about 100 victory points. So it was fairly close, but he got, because his Executioner unit is worth about 470 points, yeah, it was a victory for the Dark Elves. He also got 25% of the points of the Ungor unit. So in the end, it was an enjoyable game. There was a lot of bookkeeping and fact-checking going on because we weren't 100% sure on a lot of the rules that have changed. I think in the end it came down to maneuverability and movement. The big overrun in turn 3, straight into his Executioners, it kind of sealed the fate of the game, really. I wasn't too worried about leadership with the warband rule because stuff was generally leadership 9 while it had its ranks. So I think you could potentially run a Beastman list without a BSB. I definitely want to try a character on a chariot and make use of the chariot runners rule that the Ungors have. So yeah, next time I'll probably do a 2,000 point list. I want to get some more Harpies and some other flying things, maybe a Cockatrice and even a Jabberslife. You never know. To the people that have subscribed, it's much appreciated. Thank you very much, and I will see you again hopefully in the next battle report, which will be possibly next week if I can get down to the club. Either way, I will see you very shortly, and thanks again. Hope you have a good day. Thanks, bye.